Okay, hello and welcome back. I'm showing this new lighting board kit that I'll be selling, and I just wanted to share it out there for everybody to kind of see it and kind of what it does. This is kind of developed as an all-in-one device. It has a lot of availability for ports, and they all do little different features and functions. They can be adjusted if you do know something about Arduino programming, but otherwise than that, it's pretty much set in place the way it is, and that's how it runs. So this project came up to us by a client. His name is Lori Tate, and he goes by the nickname of Doc, or his friends call him Doc. And anyway, he's an avid modeler, and he commissioned this project because he wanted a device that could do a lot of multiple things all in one small little package. Some of the requests were a nav light and a strobe light, and then the other was kind of like a fader or reactor light of some sorts. And then he wanted a chasing feature that had, something that had, like a sweeping effect that goes up and down, and just goes, forward, reverse, and just does a pattern in a chasing pattern. And then also he's like, I want some kind of a blinking lights that would be like for button lights, like you would see in a cockpit, something that would be a light that would come on and stay on. Maybe it's a light that is flashing, but they're all kind of set up in a random blinking pattern. And then he also wanted was some kind of a engine thruster or a thruster feature that would look kind of like an engine thrust. So again, I looked at all those, the whole package, and I was like, okay, well, I guess we can pull this all into one single device. It took a little while to write out the program, but it's stable. It's working great. And I'm really glad that I actually did the project, because this will put this could be used in multiple applications, and it puts the hands of the builder to use it however they see fit. And again, since it does multiple functions, it's it's one of those kind of boards that you can, if you're looking for a chaser effect, well, just buy the board and you got a couple extra effects to boot. So anyway, let me go ahead and fire this up. I'm going to turn down the ambient lighting in here a little bit, and then I'm going to take a couple different angles so you can see kind of the way the features are. And in between this video, I also want to just go over and show you a diagram, because that would be a really good way to introduce it and show the diagram and explain it a little better. But this is basically based off each port that you can use on this board can be duplicated. So that what that means is you can use 2 LEDs per each port that you want to use. So, and some of the effects are ganged up in pairs, some are ganged up into threes, and the last final one is actually ganged up in a 6 for the chaser. Because again, with chasing lights, you need multiple lights to make it look right. If you don't have a good row of lights, it just falls off. And then anything in here can be can be vamped into fiber optics. It could be backlit features. You could pretty much, the sky's the limit as far as what you want to do with it. And by just having it as a board kit, and then you provide the the resistors and the wire and everything, I can keep the cost down relatively low as well. So this kind of opens it up to a really wide range of effects at a very good budgetable cost. So anyway, so let me go ahead and I'm going to kill the lights back here a little bit, and let me go ahead and fire it up. So here goes. I'm in a little bit more of a light or a darker situation here, but this will help enhance the lights, because the lights themselves are set up as 5mm diffused with pretty much the highest resistor value you could probably run. So these ones, they tend to not really have a lot of output as far as the LEDs go. But I think this translates out good. You can kind of see what the effects are going on. So I'll just kind of zoom in and go over each one with you. And then that way you'll get you a really good idea. So the first one you see here, and I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit more. Let me get my camera just coming on down just a little bit more here. And what I want to show, I just want to kind of get down in here a little better so you can see it a little better. So this first effect where you see this kind of orange fluttering or flickering, those three lights are what we would like to call the engine thruster effect. And these are, again, basically orange diffused standard LEDs with a 1000 ohm resistor on them. So again, by using brighter LEDs, if you want a brighter effect, you can get a lot more out of it as far as the effect. But since you got these three lights, that actually means you could run it up to 6 engine effects onto this, onto those 3 ports. You have to use inline resistors on each LED, but that's just, again, you can buy ones that are prefab. There's a lot of different ways to get around it, or you can just make them up on your own. So I think I'm going to spin the camera around here just a little bit and change the profile here so you can see the next feature. So let me switch to camera mode. Okay, so this is the navigation and strobe cycle. And on the outside edges of this little board that I got set up there to hold these, that is the strobe. And again, it's very powerful. It's a very bright strobe. And it looks just awesome. So you can run up to 4 of those grand total, because you got there's 2 banks for them. So you can get 4 strobe lights, and you see the red and the green there. Those are for navigation beacons. So you can have actually up to 4 nav lights as well, too, grand total. So again, it's giving you some kind of you're getting a lot of option out of one device. Some guys might just want to just get this just to use for just that feature alone. So again, nav and strobe, this is what it looks like. And let me go switch modes again, and let's get over to the reactor effect. Okay, so this next effect that you see is the button lights, and they will randomly come on and come off. And these make a great looking cockpit feature if you're trying to light up individual buttons or effects that are like on a cockpit. They really add a lot to it. And then if you want to add fiber, this is a really cool feature to have with fiber optics too, because it'll make all those little lights look like they're blinking, and you can get them as small as the fiber optic setup. So again, there's 3 of those, and what that gives you is, again, a 6 option max that you can run off these. And so you could have some on fiber, maybe some of them are just on standard 3mm, maybe a 1mm, possibly maybe 1 surface mounted LED, something like that. The surface mounted LEDs draw a little more, so they'd probably be a little bit more of a strain on the board. So anyway, so that is the random blinking effect. So let me go ahead and let me switch camera views one more time. I'm going to spin around here and get onto the front here a little bit. Okay, so here we have the reactor or core reactor effect. And this is basically set up. This can run, again, up to 4 lights, any color configuration you want to use. And that applies for anything in here. These are all, these colors can be selected in any fashion that you want to use them in. As long as they're pretty much a standard LED with an inline resistor setup, you can pretty much do whatever you want. But again, so this is on a medium slow fade loop. And all this does is it just builds up a little bit of light, and then it fades back down. And it does this just evenly and consistently as you could possibly go at. I had it going a little faster at first, but I thought that the feature overall, it needed kind of the slower pulse. I think it really gave the effect a much nicer effect overall. So anyway, so that is the reactor effect, and next up, let's move on to the next. I'll flip the camera around and let's take a look at the chaser. Okay, so here we have the chaser effect, and this is set up on 6 LEDs. And again, I thought this was pretty proportional as far as the look goes. Sometimes when you get into smaller, like as least as 4, it starts looking pretty choppy when you're on a chaser. So I decided to go like with the max. So this one will run, this is a good one. This one will run 12 LEDs. That's 2 rows of chasing effect. And if you take the chaser out of sequence, which I have done on many projects, you can actually make some really weird effects with throwing it out of balance. So again, option-wise, there's a lot it can do as far as multiple effects going on here all at the same time. So anyway, so yeah, so this is a back and forth chasing effect. And this also is running independently, all on the same program. Everything else is all running simultaneously. When you put the power on, it all comes on at once. When you shut the power off, it all goes off at once. So again, very simple setup and yet very effective lighting features in a small package. And so let me go, I think this will pretty much do a good overall of the effect. I think you guys have kind of a good idea. So I'm going to cut back. Let me just do one more show it all on at the same time. And then we'll, I want to kind of narrate what the wiring diagram is all about. Okay, so this is just added onto the video a little bit. This is a little extra showing everything kind of all running at the same time. And what I'll do too is let me go ahead and turn the lights up, so that way you get an idea of what these look like actually on. Okay, so now I got full lights on. And again, the effects won't look as brilliant because we got full lights. But for these small diffused lights running on some pretty heavy value resistors, it's still, I think it really gives you an overall idea at what you're going to get in this all-in-one package. So anyway, I'd like to talk a little bit about the wiring diagram. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch gears here a little bit. I'll probably shut this down, and then that way I can kind of just talk to you a little bit about the wiring diagram itself. Okay, so let's talk about the wiring diagram. So how this works is this is basically a standard Metro Mini board, and they have multiple out ports. And as you can see here in the diagram, you can see that we have these ports that are from 0 basically all the way to 13. And that is the main ports that you're going to use for most of the effects, minus the chaser. The chaser is using the ports that are the analog ports that are A0 or A0 to A5. And that are the 6 lights that you see for the chaser side of it. And again, I'm trying my best to narrate this over the PDF file, or these images that you're going to see here in front of you. So the port 0 through 1, that is the navigation and strobe, or the nav board is 0 and 1. And the strobe is number 2 and number 3 port. And again, these can be done in any kind of different color combinations that you want to use. They'll still blink and do the same thing over and over. Moving up to the random blinking effect, which that could be also multiple colors, or all white, or whatever you decide you want to use. They use port 4, 7, and 8 to control the random blinking feature. The port 5 and 6 are dedicated to the reactor fade effect. Again, those can be doubled up, and any of these can be doubled up. So you can only run a max of 2 LEDs per port. But again, some of these are in groups of 2, some are in groups of 3. Then when we get onto the engine thrust, that is port 9, 10, and 11. And you can see them really clearly in this diagram. You can actually see where that 9, 10, and 11 are on the board. And what those are all positive. All the ports that are coming out are basically positive or plus to power, and that's what you'll be using. You can share 2 wires out of them. You could split the wire out of them to run the spare or the pair of LEDs, whatever way it takes, but those are positive or plus coming out of the ports. Then finally, on the last area of the wiring diagram, you have A0 through A5, and that is the chaser feature. And the chaser feature works sequentially down the line. So you start at A0, and then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it goes in reverse and it runs backwards. So those ones, again, you can pair them up, and you could get up to 12 lights on the chaser if you had 2 rows or 2 pairs of them running. Or if you just want to run the 6 in line, then that's all you use is the 6 in line. Again, any of these features or functions, you can just use just one, or if you just want a strobe effect and you're only going to cover 4 lights. Well, there, just get the board and you got the strobe. If you want, say you want the engine thrust effect, well, you got up to 6 ports to choose from. So, you can run 2 motors, you can run 1 motor, you can run 3 motors, whatever combo you kind of want to do on there. But that's what the beauty of this board is. It's so open end as far as whatever the application goes. So it allows you to do everything. And I'm sorry, but the board does you have to have soldering experience to actually solder onto the board. We don't solder header pins on there or anything, because we found out that over our experience, it's much better just to be hard connected onto the board, and then that way you don't have any trouble. So anyway, I think I'm going to conclude this video. And again, if you've got any comments, or you'd like to also maybe develop something custom for yourself, you can always drop me an email, possibly messenger me, and I can see if I can provide you with a quote for your project. I get a lot of custom stuff, but I already have a lot of stuff covered as well. So anyway, that area is kind of wide open. So thanks a lot for watching the video, and I hope you get a chance to use the board. It's a really cool board. It's at the proper cost price area, and you can do a lot with just this one single device. So anyway, thanks for watching the video, and we'll catch you on the next one.